Good morning, it's this guy again. It's Friday the 12th of June and I'm really happy that I'm getting to do this week's virtual assembly for Leith Primary. So this week we've actually started to get ready for school coming back in August. So we've been doing lots of risk assessments to make sure that the building is safe for teachers and other staff and for children and for families returning, and that's going to carry on for the next 2 weeks so that we're ready for everyone to come back in August, which we can't wait for. So I'm going to start with some of our recognition book nominations this week. I've got them written on a slightly less exciting notepad than the Spangly book, but just imagine it. So first of all, in nursery, we've got Jacob, who has been working hard on some fantastic artwork. And then we have Holly, who has been finding lots of interesting things on her bear hunt. So I'm hoping that lots of children in our nursery are enjoying looking for things relating to our bear hunt that's going on across the city. In Primary 1A, we've also got Sunny, and Sunny's been nominated for diligently practicing creating equal groups. So he's been working on his maths at home. Then in P1B, we've got Temperance. So Tempy has at home been doing super dancing and making a maraca out of a bottle and rice, and hopefully not upsetting everyone with the noise that she's making with it. And in P1C, we've got Polly. And Polly's been nominated for writing some amazing sentences about Rumpelstiltskin. So well done to those guys in P1. And in P2A, we've got Ethan. So Ethan has been working really hard, doing lots and lots of reading. I'm really glad to hear about that. That's something that lots of us have been doing during lockdown. And he's missing school and his teachers, and he can't wait to get back to school and see everybody. You're not the only one, Ethan. In P2B, we have got Amos, and Amos has been working consistently hard at home. So he's always working on his home learning grid, and he has persevered, and this week created a wonderful piece of creative writing using his story map. And Miss Spratt is really, really proud of you, Amos, so well done. I'm just going to put you all out of your misery and reveal the answers to my challenge questions from last week. So the first one I've got here was this skull that falls apart slightly. And the question was, what animal did that skull belong to? And unfortunately, nobody got it right. So we had a few interesting answers. Someone said a jackal, we had cougar, we had wolf. And some of those are really close. It's actually a coyote. That's the skull of a coyote. So, sorry, no prizes there. But this guy also had quite a few different interesting answers. Several people said a ferret, and it's very similar to a ferret. It's related to a ferret, but there was one person who got it right, and that is Ava in 5B, who correctly guessed that my housemate is a stoat. It's a stoat. Yeah. On the theme of weird stuff that's in my house, a couple of people also noticed I had my phone at a different angle last week, but I had a couple of complaints saying that it was a bit strange and disconcerting being at knee height, so I've tried to make it a bit higher. But you could see on the top of my bookcase this hat, and there's a couple of people email asking what the story of this hat was and where it was from. So I will tell you, and then I've got a challenge question relating to that for this week. I've got 3 for this week. So my first one though relates to this hat. So my mum and dad bought it for me on holiday, and this hat is an officer's hat from the end of the Cold War from a country that doesn't exist anymore. So that country is called Czechoslovakia. But that country is now 2 countries. So my first challenge question is, without Googling, without looking at Wikipedia, without asking someone else, can you answer which 2 countries now exist instead of Czechoslovakia? So that's our first question. Okay. I'm going to go back to our recognition book. So in Primary 3, in P3A, we've got Ethan McLean, and this week he's been working really hard on Sumdog, which is fantastic. That's something really good and really easy to work on at home. And he's worked really hard on Sumdog and also made an amazing mini garden in a jar. So that's really good to see. I'd love to see that. And then in P3B, we've got Vivian, and Vivian has done lots and lots of fantastic literacy and numeracy work at home. But her story, Whale Tale, showed a character that demonstrated a real act of kindness. Okay, so that's really good to hear about writing interesting stories like that at home. Then in P4A, we've got a joint one this week. So Al and Alistair both wrote fantastic stories about dragons, and they were both very original and very creative. So well done to those two boys. And then in P4B, we've got Ella. So Ella's been really busy during lockdown. She's been challenging herself with work, but has also been continuing with her gymnastics. I've been doing the same, actually. And today is a really big day for Ella because it's her birthday. So happy birthday to Ella. So I'm going to come back to P5, 6 and 7 in a second. So I'm just going to show you a couple more weird things from my house, and then I've got some questions for you. So I've got this, and it's something's tooth. And I wonder what thing used to have this. What animal did this tooth belong to? And it is, here's a clue, I'll give you a clue. It is an animal native to the UK. So you get it here. You might not see it on the streets of Leith or Wester Hales or wherever you live, but you do get the animal here. So what animal does that belong to? And what animal does that belong to? I promise you, I have got some things in my house that aren't just things that came from animals. What does that belong to? That claw. So, 3 questions this week. First one was, the hat is from Czechoslovakia. What 2 countries replaced Czechoslovakia? Question 2 is, what does this belong to? What animal did this tooth belong to? And the third one is, what animal did this claw belong to? So email me, either at my email address or at the school email address. So it's admin@Leith Primary or hugh.stewart@Leith Primary. So I'm going to move on to our last set of nominations. So we've got in Primary 6 and Primary 7. So in P6A, we've got Forbes. So well done, Forbes. And this is for a really interesting piece of persuasive writing that really impressed Mr. Mackenzie this week. So well done, Forbes. Then in P6B, we've got Olik. And this is for consistently uploading numeracy and literacy work onto the online learning journals. So it's so good to see how many people we have uploading pieces of work that then lets your class teacher speak back to you about your piece of work and see how you're getting on. And I know that lots of families are really enjoying that, and lots of kids, and certainly our teachers are. So Olik has consistently uploaded work onto learning journals, but this week Mrs. Hind particularly enjoyed reading your hotel brochure based on your trip to the Isle of Mull. It impressed her so much and was so persuasive that Mrs. Hind would like to go to the Isle of Mull now. Then we've got in P7A, we've got Ava, and this is for her informative and incredibly entertaining, persuasive piece of writing on toilet etiquette. So she managed to get the right balance of facts, opinion and humour. And I had a chance to read that story Miss Wilson sent to me. And it is a very serious business because we're all at home now and we're having to spend a lot of time at home. And it is important how we arrange things in our bathrooms, for example, or our toilets. And one of the things that Ava spoke about is whether your toilet roll, when it's on the holder, is on the inside or is on the outside. And it was fairly obvious to Ava that it should be on the outside. And I'm with her. If you disagree, email the school's admin account to try and persuade Ava and I the other way. And our last nomination for this week is for P7B, and it's Reagan. And this is for consistent effort. So constantly trying her best in numeracy over the last few weeks. She's been challenging herself with different tasks, and this week she confidently was working on simplifying, multiplying and comparing fractions. So she's been doing lots of work on fractions at home, so that's really good to hear. So well done to everybody that was nominated this week, but well done to everyone that's done bits of learning this week. We know that this has now been going on for such a long time, so it's from almost the end of March that we've been on lockdown, so we know that lots of people are maybe getting a bit bored with some of the things they're having to do at home, but we should be able to get out a little bit more, and then in the next few weeks we'll hopefully be able to meet up with more people. So we're just waiting to get more information from the government, but we know that it is hard to keep motivated and keep challenging yourself. So well done to those people who are doing bits of reading and things. So I know that last time I spoke to you, we spoke about skills and we spoke about things that you can work on at home that aren't necessarily about reading and writing and maths, about other things that you can work on. So I know lots of people are growing things at home if they've got gardens, but there's some people growing on windowsills and in houses are growing plants and things in pots. We know there's lots of baking going on and cooking. We know a lot of people are making things like a mini garden and a maraca. So this week we also had our Leith's Got Talent, so there was lots of interesting things shared in our classes. And I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about something I was working on, my new skill, which was pickling. So I've done some more pickling this week, but I've moved into a new area. So I have this week, for the first time, made some jam, which I'm quite excited about. So I've made some raspberry jam, which is my favourite kind of jam. So I'm looking forward to trying this soon. I'm also looking forward to later in the year. I've got a giant bramble bush in my garden that's taking it over, so I'm hoping that I'm going to make some blackberry jam with blackberries from my giant bramble bush. So next week it's our virtual sports week, so make sure you enjoy taking part in those activities and moving around the stations. Make sure you let your teachers know, and you can tweet about it and you can email the school about it. And I hope that you have a really good weekend. Hopefully the weather is a bit better than the forecast, because it's meant to rain quite a bit and there's meant to be lightning tonight. But enjoy whatever it is that you do. Remember my 3 challenge questions, so you will see Miss Craig this time next week doing her virtual assembly, and then it will be me the week after. So remember the 3 questions. What 2 countries replaced Czechoslovakia? What animal used to have this tooth? And what animal does this claw belong to? Okay guys, lovely talking to you. Hopefully see lots of you soon. Take care.